Yeah, I'm KP Frahm, and I'm the co-creator of the product field, a framework that I'm going to introduce to you today. And I'm also co-founder of field.so, which is a software as a service company and provides services based on the product field. And I'm in this space for quite some time, building products since 96. And I couldn't stop ever since building products. And this is who I am. Tomer.
Cool. Again, my introduction slide is here. Unfortunately, Simon can only join us as a listener. So my name, let's get everyone here. Yeah, cool. I'm a product manager here, product operations manager. So our product is actually the product org, and my previous experience included a bit of startup experience in web personalization, a lot of work revolving UX and customer experience, and now I'm fully committed to improve our product lifecycle, which includes the build, measure, and learn. And here we are to explore a groundbreaking product innovation framework called the product field. So I will hand over to KP to introduce this framework.
Thank you, Tomer. So the first thing that I would like you to do to get a little bit more vivid and interactive to start with before I throw some slides at you, I would like you to think about the following situation. Imagine that you meet someone who is really excited about their product idea, right? So someone says, oh, I have this super cool, brilliant thing going on. What would be the first question or the first questions, plural, that you would ask this person to better understand and evaluate that idea? So that's kind of the thing that I would like you to think about right now, and write those questions on these prepared sticky notes, or you can create your own sticky notes. And we think we have some like 3 minutes time for that. And when we do that, or after that, I'm going to discuss with you how the product field framework actually works. And then we're doing a second little exercise. And I don't want to disturb you right now thinking about the questions. Just go ahead, like 3 minutes time. I don't know if that timer works here. Yeah, it does. So 3 minutes, I'm going to hit the timer. Thinking about the questions that you have for someone who has a brilliant idea.
Okay, we have lots of questions.
Yeah, it's really good. So any more questions? So if we are kind of done here, we can just stop the timer. And you can easily put some more questions during the presentation if you think of any other questions, right? So I'm going to stop it here, the timer. And now I'm going to share my screen to introduce you to the framework that Tomer already talked about, the product field framework, a sense-making tool for teams that build products. So it all started 2014 when these guys, one of them was myself, were working on a lot of different product projects for years, developing products. One guy is a designer, the other one is a software developer. Me, I was a product lead in a corporate environment. And we all kind of struggled about the very same thing. You all might be familiar with these kinds of things, that you underestimate complexity. You have a lot of unconnected perspectives. You have scattered knowledge about strategy across the organization. You have a lot of hidden blind spots and a lack of focus because you get distracted easily, right? I mean, that's still kind of the problems that you face today when you build products. But back then it really bothered us, and we thought about how might we questions. And the first one we asked ourselves was, how might we stay focused when things get really messy? And they always do. The second was, how might we connect distributed knowledge from across the organization? There is so much valuable knowledge in every part of the organization, and how do we bring it together? How might we identify knowledge gaps in our strategic context, the unknown unknowns? We didn't know how to do that. And how might we create a single source of truth for strategy to stay aligned? You know, there's these million versions of strategy presentation, and you don't really know where the latest version is. How might we establish a complete and a holistic and a shared view on product, what we actually mean when we say a product? That's very different from sales or designer perspective, right? So after a while, we found out that what we were actually looking for was a shared frame of reference. And to give you an example, what I mean when I say shared frame of reference, you all know that when you walk around in the street and you ask someone for the direction to the main station, and this person says, go to the left, you don't really know what this person means, right? There's a lot of room for misunderstanding. So the world invented something like cardinal points. Go to the north and you will find the main station. That's the compass. That's the shared frame of reference that we use to walk around in the world, right? So that's what I mean when I say shared frame of reference. And so we wanted to create a shared frame of reference for product innovation. And we started by actually digging into the very definition of product innovation. And if you look at specific articles in research, but also on Wikipedia, you find out that product innovation is the realization and introduction of new products. It's always these two things, these two activities, these two trajectories that are like the gist of product innovation. So we started there. And we asked ourselves, okay, what do we mean when we say realization? It's actually getting something from the purpose state to the implementation state, something abstract getting concrete, something intangible getting tangible. That's what we mean when we say realization. And introduction is quite obvious, getting stuff from the inside to the outside, from your team, your organization, to users and customers, to markets, to societies even. And when you have two main trajectories, what you do then, obviously, is doing something like this. You use them as axis of a matrix, of a coordinate system, and you look what kind of aspects you find in that space and how they are positioned. And that's what we did back then. And we put the product at the center because it's geometry logic. If the product needs to be realized and introduced at the same time, it just sits at the intersection of these trajectories. But now the first thing that you would ask, what is the actual core of every product? And this is actually the value proposition. It starts by being clear about what kind of problem you solve. And the problem sits on the outside and it's a little bit like intangible. Whereas the solution needs to be implemented on the inside. You throw against the problem. You have to be clear about that as well. And then there are alternative solutions. They are implemented on the outside. And the uniqueness you have to create, it's more abstract than the solution itself, and you have to come up with it on the inside. So that's the core of every product in the world, according to that basic logic of product innovation. But this doesn't happen in a vacuum. So this value proposition has a context, and it's super relevant to make a value proposition real. So the context of the problem is obviously the people who have the problem, and also their motivations, their needs, their jobs to be done that are a little bit more abstract, a little bit more towards purpose than the actual problem. And if you move over purpose on the inside, it's all about the goals you have as a driver. A driver is a person, a leader, or a team of leaders who are actually translating inspiring goals into a uniqueness that is strong enough to bypass or to beat alternatives. And we found out that there's a very strong connection between the quality of your goals, the quality of the uniqueness, and the quality of the people who are actually driving this forward. Then we have implementation on the inside. That's obviously about the resources and about the production activities, the processes you have to do to build and run the solution, and the enablers you have at play that will allow you to do that, like capital or technique or some services or brand or whatever. And then you have implementation on the outside, which is basically the market aspects. It's what kind of customer segments are you addressing? What alternatives do they adopt or do they create themselves? And what distribution you have to come up with to bypass the alternatives towards the customer. So that's kind of, if you use that, a really holistic view on everything that matters if you want to build a successful product. And you can also use the Marty Kagan Venn diagram, which is the key risk of product innovation that you really see here. And it's not just an abstract Venn diagram. You actually know what kind of relation, what kind of aspects you need to discuss and be clear about to address that. So that's kind of a very important aspect of product innovation, to have it all in one picture. And it's not just that you put all the knowledge, it's also that you know that different people, it takes a village, right, to build a successful product. And they all have their positions. They all have their perspective on product from different areas where they are strong at. And it's very important to know that. It's very important to bring them all into that picture and not just ignore them because you are the cool designer or the cool developer, right? And these people have questions like the questions that you have that I ask you to answer, to ask before I showed the slides, right? And this is they all have their positions in the product field, and that's kind of how you make sense of it as a team, what we are really doing and how everything connects. And how does that work in practice? Well, this is the old work and the world that we are facing right now a little bit as well, that we are in a room using that product field as a canvas. And it always starts by frame, which means laying out the product field canvas to get everyone acquainted with that, with the language, with a visual form. And this is what I've just done with you. Then the next thing is you map your knowledge, you gather everything that people have in the room. Then you can obviously do that in Miro as well. And then you have this check, and check is a very, it's an intriguingly simple technique to check if the value proposition actually fits to the context of your environment, of your endeavor. And this, you use simple technique language for that. You just try to formulate sentences that make sense. If you connect one aspect, like let's say a user aspect with a motivation aspect and a problem aspect, if you can formulate a sentence that makes sense, it doesn't have to be true, but if it makes sense, you know it's conceptually concise. You can connect this specific value proposition aspect with the context. And you do that with all of these, and I can promise you, you will find things that don't fit. And this is a really, really interesting experience for the team when you do that together, and you have a real big understanding great understanding what's going on. But that's not actionable. What gets really actionable is if you look at the context, what aspects are actually strengths and what are weak spots. Weak spots are things like things that are not validated, things that are in conflict, or things that are missing that you have put there, but you still have to build or define. So this is really really important to come to a shared understanding. What are the weak spots and what are the strengths, and derive action items from it, and not just to address risk, but also to leverage strengths, because there are strengths in your context, and you might need them to pull it off and to connect it to the world. So let's go back now to the Miro board and finish our little exercise, which is actually now looking at the questions that you have asked before I showed the slides. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to unhide this product field here. And I would like to ask you now to grab your questions that you have asked in the beginning and place it on the product field according to the logic that I've just presented to you. Just grab your sticky note like question and put it there where you think it fits best in the product field.
I think someone beat me to my note.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's fun seeing everything fall in.
So how are we doing? Is everything empty now on the left-hand side?
Yeah, we have 4 notes. Company vision, that's goals, right?
Market research to validate. It's something we put here. All right. So maybe someone of you guys would like to say something in terms of is there something that you can is there some key insight in the visual form right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in. We didn't think about a few aspects, right?
Yeah, there are some aspects that are not covered, and some of them, they are really crowded. They're obvious to ask, things to ask, but there are some who are a little bit underdeveloped, right? And this is very interesting because it usually happens that the quality of the drivers are you asking this one with the idea, are you the person? Are your skills and your quality, are they suited for that? Never gets asked. And the goals that we have and the uniqueness, it's almost always not on our agenda when we talk about innovation. But these things are very important. And the reason why a lot of people don't ask that is because most frameworks, they don't really address that. I mean, like when you look at the business model canvas, for instance, never asked about the qualities of your goals, the qualities of your drivers, of your leadership, the qualities of your uniqueness. They don't do that. But they're super important. And this is kind of one key insight that we had back then, that the weakest spots you have is basically not just in user motivation and users. I mean, there are a lot of great methodologies to think about how you actually find out if the user really wants that stuff. And customer segments and market analytics, that's all good and well. And also production and solution, and that's kind of, there are processes like agile and stuff like that. But it's not really common to be clear about what's going on in the goals section and the leadership section and the uniqueness section. So this is kind of the key insight we had back then, and it kind of is reflected here as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you, give you a little insight what the product field is, and also how you can make use of it in a very simple use case like this. And I'd be happy to join the discussion after Tomer now says how they at Spryker use the product field to get better at product.
Yeah, thank you. So if anyone has any questions, like burning questions, feel free to pull them up. But let's move on to how we did it in Spryker, how we ran it. So Simon, I'm not sure if he's here to present himself, but I'll just tell he's the Director of Product Innovation, and together with me, we ran this workshop in Spryker, and we had a lot of learnings too. First of all, you can check out this, let's bring everyone to me. You can check out this huge experience that we had with one of our teams, in this case, the cloud team. And we had a lot of interaction during the workshop, doing this exercise. You can see a lot of notes, a lot of different opinions, a lot of people were engaged. And this helped us pulling a really good view. And yeah, that's a lot of notes. And a few things that actually came up during the exercise was what is right, what is wrong, right? What goes where? And this was obviously there's no right or wrong here. We just have to make sense of things, and we also use the built-in checks and let's call it like tests, right? That the framework lets you do between the different segments, between the different areas that you need to think of. And what we did after gathering all the notes is voting, identifying strengths and weaknesses. And here as well, the questions came up: what is wrong? What should be a positive? What should be a negative? And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just your sense, your intuition, and the overall summary of things is what led us to some insights. And you can see, like all around the framework, we did those checks that the framework offers to build phrases between the different, let's call them facts. And let's move on to the summary. So the summary of this exercise actually gave us a lot of insights. There was a direct insights from the alternative section that we found out what will happen if we didn't develop this product, if we didn't develop a cloud infrastructure here in Spryker. And the alternative was to simply have it be caught in a delivery trap. We'd have to customize too many infrastructure elements for different customers. And this was directly coming from the exercise. So it was very exciting to see. And also exciting to see that we are very focused on implementation and goals, strategy. So we were very idea oriented, with a lot of know-how how to push force from idea to users and customers, with power over those who can make it happen and have a clear purpose for the product, and also very resource oriented, leveraging assets, organizing production, building the solution, bringing it to users and customers. And a few select phrases that came up during the exercise. You can see that these are like built-ins. We chose a fact or a note from one place, used the framework built-in connections to phrase those, and those actually made a lot of sense. So, for instance, seamless integration out of the box, leading partners to shape redefined composability, differentiating to Spryker Cloud, empowering service owners to build service catalog realized in Spryker Cloud, aligning with our spaceships, right? Those are our developer teams to drive a first-class service catalog to offer in Spryker Cloud, and to solve the technical complexity that impedes fast time to market, to move business users, and of course being product driven by measurements or KPIs to optimize costs for our Spryker Cloud. And you can see that the cloud team actually took everything into their strategy, and this is their final statement: the best platform to operate Spryker solutions with the lowest cost and the quickest time to value for Spryker partners and merchants. So it was a really mind-blowing complete circle to kind of witness. And really, now we have some time for discussion. And my first take is okay. We did this session. We put a lot of work and a lot of time for a lot of people to think about, to make sense. But the question is how to keep it alive in between sessions, after the session ends. How do we keep it connected to our strategy, to our vision? How do we increase daily reflection on it? How can we connect product field with ongoing product strategy? And I think KP can offer us some more insights in this. And of course, everyone who has questions, please feel free to write them down on notes or just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we actually created software, because using the product field in a workshop has limitations. Obviously, you have only so many people who can join, and in a big company, that's not like everyone. And also how you use it over time. You need software for that. Like you would need some Jira for ticket managing or project management. You need some digital plays where you come together and work on your product fields and check them and revisit them all the time. And Miro is not a good place for that, because Miro is like a little bit chaotic. And we created Field to make it a little bit more tangible, more easy to use all the features that come with a framework that are not built into Miro, obviously. And we built a Miro integration, so you can find it on Miro on the marketplace. It's called Field. And if you want to use the product field framework in Miro and also in our software, you can do that as well. So that's one of the reasons why we built the software. This using it over time. Are there any more questions, maybe?
About the framework or about our experience with it?
I see Guido has a question in the chat, actually.
Yeah, how would you prevent any biases when filling out the framework with all internal people? Yeah, so the view of the team can be completely different from the view of outsiders, customers. It's actually a very good question.
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. But the first step is how do you actually invite other perspectives of the company into that process, into that shared thinking process? which is really like not happening in most teams. That you invite teams from sales or customer development or even legal into that thinking. So that's the first step you need to take. The product field works with that internally. But what we found out that a lot of our customers use the field software to include friendly customers. They ask these kinds of questions related to, say, alternatives. What kind of solutions do you use when you don't use our product? And then they write sticky notes and send it into the platform, and that's kind of enlightening always. And it wasn't the feature that we intended to build. We just thought of internal sense making, but our customers just use it that way. So they use it for kind of bringing in external perspectives into the context as well. So it's not like this workshop experience. It's this where you use software to do that asynchronously distributed. That's actually happening.